Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 78 Reflections. My name is Patty Elaine, and I have been gone for quite a spell, and I'm very excited to be back with you today. And I'm going to be responding to Mystic Man. She created a really fun tarot tag, and it's the Christmas Tarot Tag 2025. And so I am going to jump right in. The first prompt is hot chocolate, a deck that feels like comfort and warmth. So the deck that I chose for this is in this beautiful green bag, and it is the Green Witch Tarot. And I place these envelopes here because I have been using the Green Witch Tarot for Tarot Advent. If you don't know about Tarot Advent, you can look at Kelly Bear's channel from 2024. She introduced me to the Tarot Advent. I absolutely love it. To my knowledge, she's not doing it this year, but Marlena Teresa posted a video recently. Well, I guess at the beginning of Tarot Advent to say she was doing it. And so that inspired me to jump back on board. And so those envelopes that I showed you at the beginning were the envelopes I used. I drew 3 cards from this deck, and every morning I would open up the envelope, look at the cards, and I wasn't feeling like I had the bandwidth for journaling or anything this year. I did journal last year, but I find these cards quite easy to interpret, although not 100% easy. And the reason for that is also the reason why I chose this deck for hot chocolate, a deck that feels like comfort and warmth. And that is because I feel like some of the renaming of the cards provide a gentle, nurturing, and compassionate guidance if you're feeling a little tender. And I'm not usually a proponent of renaming the majors, but in this case, in this season, I have kind of appreciated it. So for example, the card you see here, 20 Harvest, would normally be Judgment. The Wild Hunt is the Tower. Nature is the Devil. The Lord of Shadows is Death. The Lady and the Lord is Lovers. And I think one of my favorite cards, or the favorite image for an image I don't normally appreciate, is this for the 3 of Swords. And although I have a bit of a complicated relationship with this guidebook because I don't always love its interpretations, in some cases I find the lens the guidebook provides to be gentle and adds a bit of a different perspective than I would normally think about. So that's why I chose the Green Witch Tarot for my hot chocolate deck, a deck that feels like comfort and warmth. The next deck is a beloved of mine, and that is the Witch's Garden. The prompt, presents, a deck that has been gifted to you or you would gift to others. So I did actually gift this deck to a good friend in the last couple of months. And I chose this deck because, first of all, I really love the imagery. I think it is beautiful. I think it more or less stays true to the Waite Smith. So I think it's fairly good for a beginner. But I also think it brings in some nuances that I personally adore. The other reason why I chose this deck for her is because, well, I think she is a green witch, so that's part of it. But the other thing is the guidebook. The guidebook is really quite wonderful. The thing about this guidebook is it offers, an interpretation, but what I really love about it is it provides a little, I don't know if you'd call it a poem, but you have, so this is the Nine of Wands. The guide, or the keyword, I guess, is daring. It's for the moon in Sagittarius, but then it gives this little rhyme that I really love. So for example, for the Nine of Wands, bravery radiates through the skin, fiery triumph courts the wind. The easiest way to lift your curse is always doing the hard things first. And because of that, whenever here we are. Whenever I am at the Nine of Wands, that wasn't planned, believe it or not. Whenever I see the Nine of Wands, I always say to myself, the easiest way to lift your curse is always doing the hard things first. And look at this tower. It's not amazing. So this is a card that I recently gifted to a friend. I did, along with the deck, I gave her my favorite guidebook. And it is from Lisa Pepez, Unlocking the Tarot. You can see mine is well warned. I use this every single day, and I write in it. It is just a wonderful reference. And so I also gave her that. So the Secret of the Witch's Garden is a deck that I have gifted to a friend very recently. Prompt 3, Gingerbread Man, the sweetest deck on your tarot shelf. Well, I had to choose this one. Now, this deck I bought for my dog, Jake, and it is the Dog Tarot. And it is a Llewellyn deck, and it has been the sweetest gift to me because I use this deck to communicate with my schnauzer, Jake. And I love it. I do not love the guidebook, and I don't really use the guidebook. I try to lean into my intuition, but Jake and I have had some really good conversations through tarot using this, and so I couldn't think of a better deck to use as my Gingerbread Man. Pure heart and playful spirit and a bit of sass as well. So my pick for Prompt 3, the Gingerbread Man, the sweetest deck on my tarot shelf, is the Dog Tarot. Moving right along to the Ugly Sweater. And for me, an awkward deck that works. I couldn't help but think of the Deviant Moon. And there's a couple of reasons why it's awkward. One is its shape and size. Like, it's longer than a standard tarot and slightly more narrow. And I wouldn't have thought that would make it awkward, but it actually does. And I also think the imagery is a little awkward at times, but I find that it really works. And so when thinking about an ugly sweater deck, an awkward deck that works, I chose the Deviant Moon. And that's Prompt 4. Now, I consider this deck a sister deck. For Prompt 5, we have a Santa Claus deck. Now, I took a bit of a different route for the Santa Claus deck. Rather than choosing a legendary deck, I chose a deck that I think is the archetype of the way I think of Santa Claus, which is the keeper of social norms or even morality. It's that naughty or nice approach to Santa Claus. And I feel like the Trionfi della Luna has that vibe. Oops, that YouTube might not like that one. YouTube might not like a few of these, so I'm going to be careful. But I do find the Trionfi to kind of have that naughty or nice vibe. And so I chose them for Prompt 5, my Santa Claus deck. Prompt 6, Elf, a helper deck. Now for this, I chose actually 2 decks. And these decks have both been on my tarot shelf for quite a long time. And I really wasn't using them. Even though this was probably, I think this was my first Oracle deck, or not my first one. It was one of the first Oracle decks that I ever got. And I worked with Oracle before I started working with tarot. And this deck is a tarot deck, but I use it as a Oracle deck. And so I started using this combo for clarifying. Now for the Spirit Animal Oracle, I often find the guidebook too fluffy for me. However, if you lean into the protection message, I find it really helpful. And these pair unbelievably well. So even look at the one in front of us, the Otter Spirit with compassion. You're never alone. Peacock, Spirit, let it shine with imagination. Butterfly Spirit, transformation is beautiful with privilege. Oh, that's interesting. Turkey Spirit, give with gratitude and grace. And consuming, it's kind of funny thinking of Thanksgiving. Stag Spirit, take the lead with understanding. Seahorse Spirit, watch and wait with refresh. So even though the imagery isn't necessarily beautiful together, I just find they work really well. So how I've been using this Animal Spirit deck is I will pull, after I do a reading, usually for my seasonal alignment readings, when I do a modified Celtic cross, I will pull an animal spirit to guide me, and then I will pull a card from Sacred She Tarot to clarify. So I'll have a word, or in this case, a phrase. Wombat Spirit, be at home. Labor of love. Brown Spirit, take time out. Inspiration. I just love it. I mean, I love the imagery of this deck. I don't necessarily love this one, but together. Bee Spirit, sweet results await. Competition. Koi Fish Spirit, there's always enough. Be here now. I just love it. So for my helper decks, the elves, I chose the Spirit Animal Oracle and the Sacred She Tarot. Moving on to prompt 7. Favorite Christmas song? What deck would I pair it with? I had a hard time thinking of a Christmas song that I liked. I'm a bit of a Grinch, especially with anything kind of commercialized. But, you know, I started to think about Feliz Navidad. I mean, how can you not like Feliz Navidad? And so I thought, well, what deck would I pair with Feliz Navidad? And I thought about the Santa Marte Tarot. And this deck is new to me as of October. It's a little treat to myself in preparation for the Day of the Dead. And, you know, one of the things that I've been working with since a few years ago, my daughter introduced me to the Day of the Dead. I didn't know anything about it before she introduced me to it. But what I've learned is that there can be this feeling of reverence, sadness, but also joy and comfort. And I really felt that working with this deck. And so when I thought of a deck to pair with Feliz Navidad, what came to mind for me was the Santa Marte Tarot. Prompt 8, the Nutcracker, a protective and strong deck. Well, for that one, I couldn't think of what deck is more of a Nutcracker than my Crone deck. So this deck I created, this was not a unique idea that I had, but rather some thread of videos I found on the internet, YouTube, with the one I remember most is Esther from the Mindful Tarot. So she created her own tarot deck from soul cards. So I bought soul cards 1 and 2. Well, actually, I think I had already had one of them, but I bought the other one. And I went through, combed through, and I chose tarot imagery representation from the cards that were available. And this was such a powerful learning experience for me. But even more than that, this has become my Crone deck. And so oftentimes when I close a reading, I will ask for a message from my inner Crone. And the wisdom that comes through this deck has just been so powerful. Obviously, there's no guidebook, but I really love this deck. And when I thought of a Nutcracker deck that is protective and strong, I thought immediately of my inner Crone deck. And that segues really nicely to the next one, the Candy Cane deck. And the reason why I say that is because the Candy Cane deck is what I call my inner child deck. And that is the Nicolette Coatley Tarot, but I reimagined it following Don Michel's Good Example. And in essence, you can see I trimmed it and then I renamed them following what Don Michel had done. I think exactly, if not exactly, near exactly. So this is my inner child deck. And so this summer, when I was working with the Alice in Wonderland Tarot, I would, at the end of a reading, ask for guidance from my inner Crone and guidance from my inner child. And this deck is the deck that gives me guidance from my inner child. And look at that one. It's a great one to end on because this is the card, the deck I thought about when I thought about Candy Cane, a whimsical and magical deck. And that is my Nicolette Coatley Reimagined Tarot. Last but not least, Winter Wonderland. So for the Winter Wonderland deck, I was thinking of winter, magical, enchanting, and what I thought of was the Ghosts and Spirit Tarot. So I have been doing ancestry work lately, and I found this deck secondhand for a really good price. And I could not say no to it. So I've just started working with it. But I feel like it really weaves ethereal mystery with haunting beauty. And it invites a journey into this enchanting realm that is beyond the veil. And so maybe not what most people think of when they think of a winter wonderland, but this deck feels really wintry to me and also enchanting and magical. So my choice for prompt 10, the Winter Wonderland, is the Ghosts and Spirit Tarot by Lisa Hunt. So that is all of them. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like the video if you do. Subscribe if you want to hear more from me. I'm planning my Tarot Tube comeback. So I hope I'll see you in another video very soon. And until then,